What's up, everybody out there? Dan back here with another Codex interview. This time, I am talking to the comic royalty, the king and queen of comics, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Conner. So
I always thought the king and queen were Walt Simonson and Wheezy, right? Wheezy.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Both of you were all at the Virginia Comic Con over the summer.
Yeah, that was a fun show.
That was great.
Yeah, where I got to talk to everyone, and at one point, I guess Walt and Wheezy were getting ready to go to lunch, and everybody was in line for him. And he goes, "All right, if everyone's got your books you want signed, just there." And we were all just standing there, hold them out like this, and he just walked by.
They're awesome.
And then he goes, "Put your money in the bin up there."
He's like we keep losing the greats, every year. We always lose.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's gonna be around. Both of them gonna be around for a very long time. I hope.
Oh, they're both so nice.
We do.
They're great.
We adore them both.
Yeah,
we're big fans.
Well, us here at the station are big fans of both of you. So
thank you.
Yeah, we've gotten to, some of us gotten to talk to you over the years at conventions. So it's great to be able to sit down and and interview both of you. We did an interview a while ago with Jimmy.
Yep, just me.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Amanda was hiding out upstairs working, I think.
I get hermity sometimes.
She does get hermity a little bit. She comes out during the con. She's all chatty, but it's a lot of a lot of time. We spend a lot of time just working by ourselves, looking at a drawing board or a computer. So sometimes it feels like we forgot how to talk.
Yeah. Well, so how is it when you guys are working? When you are doing your creative process, whether it's writing or art. Since both of you are married and live together and are both comic creators, obviously you collaborate on some stuff, but when you're doing your own projects, are you kind of going to the other one and be like, hey, take a look at this and tell me what you think? Or
I do. I trust Jimmy's taste in art.
I'm quite blunt. I'll go, that arm doesn't look good, or I'll go, that head's a little small, or whatever, but I just want it to, it's right. This, right?
I mean, here's the thing: is like when you've been staring at a drawing for hours on end, sometimes you can't tell. Like you look at and you go, I think that head looks too small, but maybe I've just been staring at it for too long and I just can't tell. So let me get a fresh set of eyes on it, and then I go to the fresh set of eyes over here.
Yeah, and I come up and I'm brutal. I'm like, that head don't look right. That knee is all over the place. Right. I don't know. Yeah. I just say it. I don't want to waste their time. I'm just like, that looks a little big or a little small. Yeah. And she does the same thing. If and when I can get her to edit my scripts, it's not often, because she's always busy, but I do love for her to read my stuff because she'll always find something, and she's the best editor I could ever have, but I don't always have the time for her. Meaning,
I'm brutal to him too.
Yeah, she's excessively slow at editing. Like where an editor edits my book in like a day, Amanda will take 3 weeks.
I'll like really like
Yeah, but in the end it works out, and we kind of look over each other. We both color things, so we both look at each other's coloring and make suggestions. All we want is it to look the best it can be. So the egos have to be put aside. We just want to make the best comic we can all the time, so we get hypercritical, and it's probably why our output isn't as much as people would like, but we're also very picky about what we take on. So those couple of things, kind of keep our what we put out limited. But we put out stuff every year. I mean, it's a busy year for us, and then for cons, we have a couple of cons this year. But we do love working together, and I think probably brainstorming on things is probably our favorite part, because we do that over a meal, or we'll drive and we'll talk about stuff. But overall, Amanda doesn't like to talk about comic books too much.
Yeah. No, I mean, when you're looking at them all day, you're like, what can I talk about that's not the thing that I've been staring at all day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, we tend to have like good TV viewing at night, and then discuss that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a way to wind my brain down, is to do something that's like different than comics.
Yeah. But we love obviously we love the whole wall is you got to see Amanda's office. This is my office. Amanda's office is 10 times crazier than this.
Yeah.
You know,
It looks like raccoons came in and like had a raging kegger in my studio. It's really bad.
with comics thrown around and
Yeah.
little and a lot of statues. Amanda's got a lot of statues and things.
Yeah.
Hey,
All based on her work, you know.
A bunch of raccoons breaking in and having a raging kegger. That could be your next book.
Probably sell like 5 copies, but it would be it would be fun at least.
Yeah.
I think to be honest with you, I think those kind of books have an audience, like books that are just completely insane and not the same Batman and Superman. I think those find an audience once in a while, you know, because people just want something different.
Speaking of different, you know, you guys did a book called The Pro.
That's different.
Yeah.
It was Gary that was the one that it was like, hey, you should check this out. And I read it. I was like, I can't believe that this exists. I know we talked to you about it last time, Jimmy, and you know, I wanted to get Amanda's perspective on. I think you said that you guys and Garth Ennis were just kind of joking around, talking about it, and you're like, all right, whatever. The next day, they're like, oh, you guys are working on this. I guess it's actually.
We came up with it. Well, like I was really sick and like pretty toasty. And we were in Essen, Germany, and when you're out with British guys, we were out with John McCrae and Garth and or Irish guys, you know, anybody from the UK, I guess. They were, you know, they're like, don't go to bed, have a hot toddy, that'll cure you. And so I had like too many hot toddies in me, and we just start. I also have like you know, the emotional growth of a 12-year-old boy. So I thought it was hysterical, and we started, you know, drawing on napkins, and you know, so and
The Pro was born.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking. We thought it would be funny. We were just joking around, and we were like, you know, we're comic creators. We can do this.
Right, we can do this. Like at one point, we just said we can make a comic book, and I could sell this, and then we made the comic, and then I had to try to find somebody to buy it. That was another.
That was a challenge.
That was a challenge. DC did not want to buy it. They did not want to publish it.
Go figure.
But anyway, we lucked out with Image, and the rest is filthy comic history, I guess. But it was the prerequisite. It was Garth trying out what the boys would be.
Yeah.
Before the boys.
Kind of like a prototype for the boys.
Yeah.
Well, the boys has been pretty successful on Amazon. Maybe you need to give them a call. Be like, hey, we got this other book that you might want to check out.
We have tried.
Yeah.
That book scares people.
I don't know why. You know, it's not worse than the boys.
No, I know. I don't get it either.
Bloody and messy than the boys.
We have sold it for a development deal 4 times, and all 4 times they gave it back to us. Yeah, we can't make this. It's a little too crazy, and we're hoping one day, but you know, we're not worried about it at the same time. We're happy people keep discovering it. It's in its 7th or 8th printing, and you know, we're happy that people keep giving it a shot. It's one of those comics that gets passed around between friends a lot.
Yeah. We always talk to a lot of people that go, I used to have, you know, the first printing, but I lent it to a friend and I never saw it again.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
It's definitely a college dorm comic. It makes its rounds, you know.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's not like anything else that you're gonna read.
No.
But you said you got Image to publish it, but now you know you do the stuff with Kickstarter and you know PaperFilms. If that was something you were to make today, do you think you would just do it yourself?
I think I would do a Kickstarter of it, and then I would give it to Image later on to do a mainstream one. You know, do it like we did with Pop Kill. We put out Kickstarters years ago. Yeah, there you go, Pop Kill. I got one here too. This comes out this week. Pop Kill, we did like 3 years ago. We did the 4 issues, and it did very well in Kickstarter. But very well in Kickstarter means we got like 1,500 people to buy it, you know. And we thought it was long enough that we can repackage it and give it to Mad Cave, and the first issue did over 55,000 copies. So we were shocked because you know, Dave and I keep talking like, who's going to buy a comic about competing soda companies, you know? And I said, okay, it does have sexy girls and it has spies and all that stuff. But, you know, every retailer told me, they're like, nah, man, those books sold. And we got people asking for more. And I'm just like, you know, sometimes you hit the right note You don't know. You just put something out there and it hits the right note. I think a lot of people are, superheroed out and they look for something a little different once in a while.
So is that what was it that led you to decide that you were going to start your own thing with PaperFilms?
I think initially it was a tax thing, because we have to do a corporation. We had to create a corporation around, and Amanda and I get paid from the corporation. It's a smart thing to do when you work at home, people, where you have your own kind of work,
Yeah.
and when you're a freelancer. And then we took on a lot of different work over the years. So forming a company helps us with that, because we don't just do comics. We've done animation, we've done TV commercials, we've done film, we've done a little bit of everything, including video games and stuff like that. So we came up with the PaperFilms because we thought it says what we do. Like we do like a movie on paper, like a comic book is minus the soundtrack. We kind of, we get to do whatever we want. In comics, it's a lot broader for me than film or anything, because we could do anything. But we managed to, we formed the company, and then we've done over 25 Kickstarters since we started. We do a couple a year. We fulfill every one of them. We do not have complaints or customers that are bitching. We deliver every one of our Kickstarters. We're 5-star rated, which I just made that up because there's no rating. I just made it up. Out of 4 stars, we're 5 stars. Literally, Patrick Wedges, our buddy that we work with, part of PaperFilms, we make sure every single person is happy.
They hand pack all of the fulfillment.
Everything. The new one out that's now it's Painkiller Jane and G.I. Zombie, which was a DC comic for a year. We do everything on it. I mean, I'm even coloring that book, Yeah, the campaign's up. We got a couple of more weeks, on it, and it is an adults only comic, so there is nudity, there is violence. It's a little over the top. It's literally Painkiller Jane and G.I. Zombie stumble on Epstein's island. It's a little crazy, but it's 2 comics. It's and even if you don't want like shipping, or if you're out of the country or whatever, we offer like the digital comics. You get both books for $10. Plus, as we get stretch goals, we add on books. So by the time the campaign's done, somebody who backed it to get the 2 books might wind up with 3 or 4 books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the $10. So we make sure it's a bargain. We make sure everybody can get it. And then Amanda's doing 2 covers that we're not showing. They're called mystery covers because they have nudity on them. She's doing 2 cut right. Oh my god! And
I know for the pop kill, the one was it Adam Hughes did the one nude cover on. Gary was telling me, he's like, yeah, I really want to get that cover. I'm like, they got it on their website, man. Go get it.
It ain't cheap.
Yeah.
I think we only have 6 of them left anyway. But
oh wow.
Yeah, because we print to order on the Kickstarter. So when you back like something like Amanda's level, if there's only 100 orders, we only print 100, and we print 10% over, right? Because we get damages and we get so we don't have a ton of them because we don't have the space to keep all the books. So once we do the Kickstarters, which works out because like the pop kill people that are getting the new books are looking for the old books. And I'm like, it's got a pretty good secondary market on eBay, and comic retailers have some, because we sold some Kickstarters. Some retailers bought the Kickstarters. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to get our comics out there like everybody else.
So this is the what I put on the screen here. That's what the the Kickstarter is. I wish it would have when it said share it, that it would have given me something that would be easy to remember. Like, oh, here's a bunch of random letters and numbers. But for anyone out there that wants to get it,
yeah,
you could. You can get links to all their socials and everything through their website, paperfilms.com, or just go. The easiest thing to do, go on Kickstarter and just type in Painkiller Jane.
Yeah, and it'll pop right up there.
And this will come up.
Yeah.
That's the one that's going. It looks amazing.
Yeah, it's Juan Santa Cruz drew it, who's also the artist on Pop Kill. I am coloring it. I'm almost done. And then we got some beautiful covers by Scott Hampton and Scott, and then Moratat was the one you just saw. That's my artist on All Star Western for years. And then Amanda did a couple of covers. So we're it's it's a fun book. It's beautifully printed. I mean, by the time we're done, we're gonna spot varnish it. We're gonna do all this stuff to make it real special. And yeah, I take those personally. Even though our audience is only like 1,000 people, I want to make those 1,000 people feel like they got their money's worth. So that's always the goal.
But like I know you had said when we talked to you before, there's like a big secondary market for your Kickstarter stuff because it's for whatever reason people discover it after the fact.
Yeah, it's not, that's a collector's market, right? Like I don't make
Yeah.
money off that. That's for the people that bought the books to resell them. A lot of them send them to CGC right away just to get them, because we do make sure when you get your books, they're in mint condition. Like we pack them really well. And it's look, collecting is like 3 or 4 different things, right? People love the secondary market. They want special books. They want limited editions. They want to CGC it. They want, we try to make sure there's a little bit of something for everybody with the Kickstarters.
And what was it that led you to start doing Kickstarters? Was it just so you could have total control of it yourself, or was it,
yes,
hey, I don't know if I can, I don't know if, I don't know if I can get someone else to publish it. Hey, I can do it myself.
I mean, you have he's had like all these stories in his head for like decades now. And, not everybody, especially if you go to some of the bigger comic book companies, they really are looking for stories with their characters. It's like they're looking for a Batman story, or they're looking for a Wolverine story or Deadpool story, but if you have like your own story and your own characters, you get to own the entire thing.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, I could have went to Image with some things, but I saw when Kickstarter first did their first pitch, it was on a business thing and a site, and I read about it, and I said I want to try it. So I think I was the first mainstream comic person to do a Kickstarter, and I did it for a book called Queen Crab, and it worked. And I realized I'm actually getting like directly to the audience. Like I'm actually getting their information and sending it to their houses, and and I thought, what a cool thing if I could somehow keep like a grassroots business going. So no matter what happens in the comic industry, because you get older, they don't want to use you anymore, or you're not right for this or whatever. I felt like if I had my audience figured out that they would back my work, I can do anything and they might give it a shot. And so that's why I kept it and why it was so important to me, because I felt like the freedom, the best comic you're ever going to get from a creator is the one they love the most, right? The one that they like feel. And with my Kickstarters, everything about them was personal. Like everything I did, I have a couple of them right here.
Like, I mean, like to that example, like all that Ghost Machine stuff that Image is putting up. Yeah, I got those at Denver.
Yeah. I mean, it's
but like the Ghost Machine stuff, I look at, it's artists that I like, and I look at the stuff they're doing. I'm like, I've always thought this guy was great, but like this stuff is just another level of it, and I just attribute it to they're getting to do the thing that they created from scratch, and it's it's everything that they want to do.
Yeah, that's and that's a company in itself, right? All the Ghost Machine stuff. They got money backers behind them, and it's great that they're putting out and paying the guys, So I'm like a small version of that. I'm like a 2-person kind of I'd say 3-person, because Amanda helps me out too. It's me, Patrick, and Amanda. But it's just a small publisher. I mean, that's what we're doing. It's a very grassroots thing. When you get the books, you're getting them right from us. I literally put them in a bag and then taped up that package and sent it to the people. It's not for the weak, because I have other creators tell me there's no way I would do what you do. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my money. And I tell them, I'm like, well, that's okay. I have the time, and I kind of find it relaxing to do, and I just want to control everything. I mean, it's why I learned coloring too, because I figured, well, let me take it a step further. Let me color the pages and stuff like that. Eventually, I'll just be drawing them all one day, but that won't happen anytime soon.
Well, I know you were talking before, and you said that when you start out in the industry that you wanted to draw, and they said your style was too realistic. You ended up becoming an inker, and you said maybe one day you would draw something on your own.
I have to get in that headset. Amanda's always pushing me to do that.
Because at Baltimore, I got you to sign one of my books, and you did this amazing remark on it, which was awesome. I didn't even ask you to. I just went up and handed him each a book and was chatting with him, and I just look over, you're doing this, and you handed it back. I was like, oh my God.
It's funny. There you go. Yeah, I remember doing that. I remember doing that for you.
Amazing.
I have they're soliciting for October the omnibus for All Star Western, and it's over 1,000 something pages. But I literally, anybody who brings me up at a con, I will put a full drawing in it. If anybody's going to carry that monster, I'm going to put a drawing in it. I don't care. I don't care what con I'm at. You bring it, I will put a drawing in it.
So when you talked about the Kickstarter, you talked about the stretch goals and stuff. When you go into each one, how is it that you decide what the stretch goals are going to be?
I make the first couple of the stretch goals where I can throw more money into the printing. So I could do spot varnish, so I could do a matte finish. I could make the paper thicker. I try to put the first stuff into the production. And then as we get higher, I just look at what we can do. So I initially offer extra books digitally. And then eventually we go to like stickers, and people love getting stickers. I don't understand it, but I'm happy they like them. I always tell people, put my stickers on a cop card. It's fun. But they and then we go from there. As it makes more money, we figure out what cool extras we can, as long as they fit in the package. Like you won't be getting a shot glass or a T-shirt from me, because it's just going to be another package, But that's how we figure it out.
And so you said the one pop kill. How did you end up deciding to like you said you did a couple years ago, and now it's coming out from Mad Cave as well? How did you was it Mad Cave that came to you and wanted to do that, or was it you that went to them? Like, how did that end up happening?
I think so. Dave Johnson had a talk with those guys at Mad Cave and mentioned it, and they Mark Irwin, he was talking to Mark Irwin, who's a good buddy of ours, and they said they would be interested in publishing it. And we thought, they made us an offer we couldn't refuse. And we didn't really think, we thought it would sell a couple of copies, but we just thought, okay, that's kind of cool. A new publisher. They're not new, but they've been around.
Yeah.
And they were like, I told them, I said, look, if you guys do it, you can't use any of the covers I did for the Kickstarter, because I want the fans of the Kickstarter to have exclusive covers.
Mm-hmm.
And they agreed, and they said, we'll solicit new ones. So they went out and there's a new Adam Hughes one on the third cover that's unbelievable. It's
oh yeah,
beautiful.
I saw.
And there's a fourth one that they're going to announce soon that your brain's going to explode. But they went out and they hired our friends again to do covers, and it just was a good deal. And at the end of the day, when you're a creator, you want to get as many people to read it as you can. That is your goal, but my other goal was to keep my Kickstarter people really happy, and they are, because all the price of their books just went up this month. So, they're happy about that.
Do you think that any of your other past Kickstarters will end up being published with Mad Cave or with another company?
I would love to talk to them about one or two, but it would have to be, why I go to San Diego is I sit with the guys and we talk, and I would love to see Denver come out as like 2 or 3 books, one day, because I feel like it's already 10, 12 years old already. I think down the line, I mean, this was a good testing book to see if there's an audience for something that I did, mainstream. So this one is definitely, I don't think anything will sell as good as this one, but I'm really happy where we are with it.
Yeah, I unfortunately missed it the first time it came out, and the limited budget I work with, I can't afford the back one. So when this one was coming, I wasn't even sure if it was that. I thought was thinking, oh, this must be a sequel to it or something. I was like, oh, right. Well, this is the original one, man. This is great. Yeah,
well, I'm glad you got it, and it didn't bankrupt you, and you're able to get dinner that night.
Yeah, kick myself for not, well, then I, for not knowing about it the first time.
It's all good, buddy. It's all good.
But so what else do you guys have going on? I know that you're doing the writing the Gunslinger Spawn book, which has been really good. And I told people when we do the other shows, I was like, I haven't read Spawn pretty much since the first 2 years it was out. And when you had talked to us before, when you said you know, yeah, this is coming out in a few months, and you're like, you don't need to know anything about Spawn, and you were right, and it's been fantastic so far.
So thank you. Yeah, right now we're working on, Amanda. What are we working on right now?
Right now, we are doing a DC and Dynamite mashup. We're working on Harley Quinn meets Elvira.
Oh, nice.
So that's fun.
How many issues is that?
It's gonna be 6.
6 issues.
Yeah, and it's really fun because, you know, there are 2 characters that I love.
Yeah. When is that going to be coming out?
I think they're aiming for July.
July, yeah. It's either July or August. And you know, we're on our end, we're dealing with DC, right? Dealing with DC on getting okays, and then Cassandra Elvira.
Cassandra Peterson.
She reads it and then she gives us notes, like make that, you know.
I mean, nobody knows Elvira's voice better than her, so I can't complain.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's very Elvira. That's what I'll say. The comic's very Elvira.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's just a story where the 2 meet up. They have something in common, and it goes crazy. It goes crazy from there. You know,
you can expect, you know, Elvira and Harley Quinn, you know, things are just going to be.
And it's set in Coney Island.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, you know, to the story. But it's us having fun. It's like, you know, we wouldn't do a Harley thing unless we felt we can, you know, really just bring our A game to it. And this is fun. And yeah, that's like the major thing we're working on right now, right? I mean, you know, we're in talks. We're always in talks with stuff later on, but I always tell everybody, slow down. We got to finish the work in front of us. You know? Everybody wants to jump to the next thing, but I'm like, we're very hyper focused on what we're doing right now. That's the most important thing. That's why we deliver the work, because we actually stay focused on it.
Well, I mean, and I know you guys are known for, you know, for the run that you had on Harley Quinn, you know, among many other characters, but, you know, Harley Quinn was a big one. You know, what was it like working on that character, and especially as, you know, as hugely popular as she is at this point?
What was it like working?
It just, you know, it was fun. I didn't know I was going to enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah.
You know, I thought, oh, you know, it'll be a fun job to do. And then I was like, oh, this is great. You know, it's a job that we really got into.
Yeah, we had no clue it was going to sell at all. You got to be honest.
In fact, the powers that be at DC were like, you know, this book is only going to last for 4 to 6 issues, so really just do whatever you want on it.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah, I think getting the do whatever you want blessing from DC is probably the best thing they can say to us.
Yeah.
With things, because they did say that with Power Girl as well. They said, oh, you know, it's Power Girl. Do whatever you want, and
nobody's going to read it.
Right.
Oh man, those issues were so good too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's you'll find that like I love Harley Quinn, but like Power Girl, I just adore her, and that's why we're always like, you know, sticking her in the Harley Quinn books.
Yeah, they don't want to give us Power Girl to do.
I wish, yeah.
For some reason.
Oh my god, I love working on Power Girl.
We have to blackmail them somehow. Okay. I have to find some juice on DC. But you know, they launched the Power Girl series last year, I guess, and I think it's got canceled already.
Did it?
Yeah, it did. I think it's.
Oh, did it?
I think it's almost done. I think it's got a couple more issues. But you know, they kind of, you know, when that was out, they re-released our Power Girl trade again, which was good, and it did very well. So. Yeah. We're happy about that, but we like, you know, we like fun comics. I mean, the comics should be fun. I mean,
well, I mean, there's plenty of angst-ridden comics out there, so you know, there's room for some fun stuff.
Yeah. There's definitely it's easier. I think it's easier to write a dark comic, you know, like just to write a really, like, you know, the world is crap and, you know, I'm the last hero, whatever. That humor is a little tougher, right? Because everybody has different funny bone. You know, the funny bone gets tickled in different ways. But I think because both of us write it together, we're trying to make each other laugh all the time, and I think that comes through in the comic book. You know.
So how is it, you know, when you're working on a book? You're like, sometimes you write, sometimes you do the art, sometimes you do both. Do you have any kind of different, you know, for either of you, do you have any kind of different process for, okay, I'm writing this and doing the art, or okay, I'm only writing it or I'm only doing the art? Is there any kind of different process depending
Yeah.
on how much you're doing?
Yeah. If I have a script where I'm just doing the art, I sort of have to stick with it. But when I'm doing, I mean, Jimmy and I do the writing chores together. He does like the heavy lifting on the writing. I always say he builds the house and then I decorate it, you know. So but when in the case of when when we're writing a book and I'm drawing it, it's kind of fluid and I'll be like, this will work out better than what we wrote previously. So I'll just sort of like, I'll do some notes in the thumbnail parts that I'm doing, and I'll just try and, you know, make it evolve into something even better than what we were thinking of previously.
Yeah, man is a great artist to have if you're writing something, because no matter what you write, what you get back will be better. When she did Silk Spectre with Darwin Cook, Darwin kept saying, I wrote this with her, but man, it looks better than what the crap I wrote. And I used to laugh, and he's like, she's thinking about everything. I just said the person goes there. Amanda's figuring out the buildings and what year those buildings were built and all that stuff. Amanda has a lot of chicken fat comics.
I do.
Do you know what that is? Do you know what that
Call
is?
me queen of
No,
chicken
what's
fat.
that? I haven't heard that
It's
term.
when you have a lot of little like details in the background and like little stuff going on that actually is even more than what's going on with the main character or the main two characters or the plot. There's like
Mhm.
a lot of extra stuff going on. I tend to, yeah, I really screwed myself on that because now people expect it and it's a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, I'm someone that draws myself, obviously, nowhere near your level. If you guys are up here, I'm so far down, not in the picture. But, that's something where, as I started drawing and as I read comics, everybody looks at the art and appreciates it. But now I look at it since I started drawing more like, okay, looking at that stuff, looking at the backgrounds and seeing like, okay, how did they do this? And, how did they make these buildings look different? How do they make
Mhm.
this stuff look, different? How did they add
Yeah,
these details in the background to, to really make it stand out?
yeah.
Yeah, it's not so easy, is it?
No.
I mean, what I'm always thinking, like, I feel like for Silk Spectre, um, getting stuff done correctly in 1966, I think it was supposed to be, was really important. But like, if I were to do Power Girl or Harley Quinn, um, I would worry less about the accuracy of a lot of things. And I think what is more important in that case is what's going on in their environment. Like they don't live in a vacuum. Like
Hmm.
Harley Quinn grew up in Brooklyn, New York. And there's a lot of people in Brooklyn, New York. And if like Harley is doing something crazy, there's going to be a lot of people like, taking pictures of her on their phone.
Yeah.
And, like there's going to be a lot more stuff going around than what's just happening to her. So, it's like, I like to have them in the environment that they're in, that they're supposed to be in.
Yeah, there's always a pigeon pooping, always a cat running around. It's always a garbage pail lid on the floor.
It is
Like
Brooklyn, New York.
right. But that bill, and it's not that you're as a reader, you're not supposed to sit there and focus on it. It's supposed to just give you the overall, like, okay, that's a city, that's a filthy city street.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're not supposed to sit there and go, oh yeah, look at the way that rat is taking that slice of pizza. You're supposed to just go, oh, of course, there's a rat eating a slice of pizza. Of course, it's Brooklyn. So that's the good stuff. That's a chicken fat. It's the extra storytelling. It's sort of like all the little stuff Sergio Aragonés puts in the border in the Mad magazine.
Yeah.
It's like all those little stories.
Yeah,
It's like
I
Amanda
think
does that.
a good example when Power Girl was coming out. She's got her cat, and I'm like, her cat is good. Like they've got that like that relationship where the cat is like really really kind of pissed off when she goes off on an adventure and he's like left all by himself, and so he gets dour and snotty, and like when he sees her he just is sort of standoffish. And I think I did Power Girl and Atlee were in her apartment, and they ordered Chinese and the cat stole shrimp out of the Chinese container. You know, it's like stuff like that, because that's what would happen.
Mhm.
Right.
If you're not paying attention to, you know, the shrimp in your Chinese food.
And it also humanizes the character, right? Because when we did Power Girl, it was like people said it felt like a real person, and I said, yeah, because these little details of what we go through all the time, the stuff we do, and that adds a little bit to the character. That's why certain things stay in your head after years after they were done. Certain books stay in your head because they did something else than the normal thing. Yeah, you can you can read a million Batman comics, but there'll be always one or two that stand out. Or Daredevil, right? There's
Mhm.
ones that just stand out because they do something a little extra that the other ones don't. And that's what we try to focus on as
I
creators.
think that's what makes a superhero interesting, is not how super they are. I mean, of course they're super and you want to, you know,
Yeah.
read about their adventures, but I think making them human, you know, really drives it home. You know, I think it's really important to do that with these like iconic superheroes, is make them like people you could know.
Mhm. Yeah,
I'd like to
you
know Power Girl. I have Power Girl right here.
something that like the reader can identify with them. Like, all right, I can't identify with, you know, Bruce Wayne being rich and, you know, a
Right.
ninja and getting all these cool gadgets, but oh hey, I can identify with his love life doesn't really seem to be real great.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I can't identify with his billionaire and having a cave with toys in it.
Yeah. You
But
can't
I
with
do have
with
That is
a
my
giant
fantasy
penny and a
land.
dinosaur.
I do have a room with toys in it, so I don't know if it's a billionaire. We're 100 heirs. We're like 100, you know,
Thousandaire.
thousandaires.
So yeah, I showed the, you know, the, like I said, the awesome book that Jimmy signed for me at Baltimore. I also got the signature from Amanda, which I thought I was slick when I was like, oh, I'll pull out this. You know, there was a
Yeah.
you know, Patrick was like, oh, you know, we always see how long it takes someone to pull, you know, to show up to a con with one of these. But I love that, you know, you did the Yellow Jacket story in this and that you signed it in yellow. And, you know,
I finally found a pen that shows up
great,
on that cover.
yes.
It's
So I wanted
took
to ask
years.
you, you know, because we want to, you know, some of the stuff with Jimmy when we talked to him was, what was it that initially got you interested in comics?
I mean, I used to read them as a kid. My dad was really into comics. He wanted to be a comic book artist when he was growing up.
Mhm.
And, you know, back in the 1950s, you didn't have a whole lot of parents encouraging you to become a comic book writer or a comic book artist. And his parents were, you know, no different. They're like, you can't do that. You'll starve. That's a terrible job. So he went into advertising, but like my first tooth fairy gift was a nickel and a Mad magazine, and I can just imagine that, you know, the tooth fairies in my house were like scrambling around for loose change or something, and they only found a nickel, and they're like, well, we got to give her something more than that. And my dad probably had like a Mad magazine. He's like, oh, here, you know, and they shoved that under my pillow. And I don't remember what I did with the nickel, but man, I read that Mad magazine until it was dog-eared, you know. So I got into comics as an early age, and when I would get sick, my mom would bring home Archie's and like Josie and the Pussycats. And what else did I read? I didn't start reading like superhero stuff until I was 9, no, 8. And then I really got into Wonder Woman, you know, so
Mhm.
you know, it sort of evolved.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I was always reading comics, and both my parents are artists. I knew somehow I was going to be an artist, but you know, I really wanted to be a comic book artist.
But what'd you really want to be before that?
Well, before I wanted to, you know, when I was 6 years old, I wanted to be a lion tamer.
Oh wow.
And so I was really into lions.
I am a Leo.
Yeah.
So
So,
there you go. That counts.
and then I wanted to be a race car driver, an action movie star,
Stunt
um,
woman.
a stunt woman. Oh, right. And when I was like that, like 8 or 9 years old, I thought that superhero was an actual career choice. So I was
Oh.
like, oh, well, you know, when I grow up, I'm gonna be Wonder Woman or something close to Wonder Woman. And my mom had this silver poster board, and I fashioned myself some bracelets. And my brother had like a little pellet gun, like a little shot little plastic pellets, and I'd make him, I'm like, all right, shoot me, I'm going to deflect the bullets, right? He was up for it. He's like, okay. He would shoot me, and I would like try and deflect them, and I think I deflected maybe 20% of them, which I think is pretty good, but most of them like hit me in the head or the neck, or
Explains a lot.
they weren't, it was like it wasn't, if it was a BB gun, I'd be in trouble, but it was just,
Yeah, it was a shotgun, you'd be dead.
right,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay. Yeah.
But it was just, it was like little green plastic pellets. So
Every little girl wanted to be Wonder Woman at some point.
yeah. So I was, that was one of the things I was going to be when I grew up.
Yeah, I wanted to be Spider-Man when I was a kid, so
Yeah. Did you practice like?
Did you get bit by spiders a lot? Did you let them
No.
bite you?
No, I didn't. I did find a black widow behind my house one time.
That's scary.
Yeah. I was kind of looking at it like, you know what? I'm just
It's
gonna
not radioactive.
I'm gonna
It's
get
not
something.
It's not gonna do anything for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna get something and smash it from far away because I don't want this getting inside the house.
Yeah, they don't want to go in there either. They want to
just
stay
wanna
outside.
Eat their bugs.
Eat some flies and mosquitoes. Yeah.
So how was it that you ended up breaking into the industry?
I went to the Kubert School, and I worked at World Color back when comics were still colored by hand instead of digitally. And I did color separation. My godfather was actually the boss at World Color. And so that was a little bit of nepotism right there. But it was a horrible job. So the nepotism, didn't do anything for me. So and then it turns out I grew up in I was living in a city or a town that was about an hour outside of New York City, and a lot of comic book artists and cartoonists lived there. Bill Sienkiewicz was one of them, so he was looking for somebody to be his assistant, and I'm like, I'm in. So I was his assistant for a few years, and there was and while I was doing that, I was going to Marvel and DC and showing them my pages, and they're like, well, you're pretty good, kid, but you're not there yet. Come back in a few months with some new pages. And I must have done that like 6 times. And then at one point, Bill Sienkiewicz was like, hey, do you have any new pages to show them? Go up to Marvel. They're letting anybody in. And I'm like, all right.
I'm anybody.
Exactly. I'm anybody. So I guess like the 6th time. Oh, and I used to use my dad's office in New York as a base of operations. I would call up editors and go, hey, I'm from out of town and I'm in New York today and I'm leaving this evening, which technically is the truth, right?
Yeah.
And then I would, call up some tired editor that was chasing down late artists and, browbeat the editor into letting me show my work. So, and that was, before 2001, when you could actually walk your samples right up to the offices instead of have an appointment and all this. It's so much different trying to get work now than it was when we were in our 20s.
It's easier now.
I mean,
you just post it online. And,
that's true.
Back then you had to come up with Xeroxes and copies.
Yeah.
To give you a sample script, and there's a lot of work. It's still tough. I mean, but if you're really talented, you'll get hired pretty quick. You just have to put yourself out there.
Yeah. So that was my first professional comic book work, which you just held up a few minutes ago. The Yellow Jacket story.
Yes. Yeah. I have the complete run.
There you go. Ah.
Yeah.
It is.
So one thing I've been wanting to, I've done a lot of, interviews with artists and writers, and I never asked it, but one thing I'm interested to know is, and you don't have to say what specifically it is, but for anyone that doesn't know, in comics, you guys get the page rate, so you're paid by page. Right. How do you, is it something that you figure out when you're starting, this is what it's going to be, or do they just tell you, hey, here's what we're going to give you? And at what point do you realize, or do you say, okay, I think I can, raise it up to this now? How do you figure out what point to do that, and what point to keep?
Well, they gave me a starter rate, like
Marvel did that.
I don't know how they do it now, but Marvel had like a starter rate. So
probably the same. That's the sad part. It's probably the same now. I remember, when I started, it was like inking. It was like 55 or 60 a page or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's what they pay. And then I realized, eventually I was like, I kept asking, because I came from advertising, I kept asking for raises like a couple of times a year. So eventually I started getting them, and I would say, even if it's $5, I'll take $5. And then then I would see somebody who was making a lot more, and I go, hey, I do more work than that guy. I deserve that. But you take what you can in the beginning just to get to work. Like whatever they offer you, you figure that, that's like paid practice. Um, but as you get older, I mean, now it's like, it's funny because the comics paid more 10 years ago than they do now, which is really weird because the dollar's not worth anywhere near it is.
Yeah.
And everyone we work for, it's a different rate. Like I tell them what I want.
Yeah.
It doesn't, you don't always get it, but I scare them a little bit. I tell them, look, this is what I want. And they go, how about this? And I go, well, how about that? I negotiate.
Yeah.
Amanda has a set rate at Marvel and DC, but I work for everybody. So it depends who it is. Yeah. I try to feel out how badly they want me or not, and then I ask for more money. That's our job as freelancers is ask for the skies and, settle on the 30th floor,
Yeah.
What do you do?
I tell people, like, what's the worst thing they're going to say? They're going to say
not
no.
going to fire you.
Yeah, that's the worst thing they're going to say.
They're not going to fire you because you're asking for more money.
Yeah.
Okay. They unless they're idiots, they shouldn't negotiate. They should always come back and say, how about this? I find 90% of them negotiate. Some of the people go, oh, you're too expensive for me. And I'm like, they didn't really want me in the first place. I definitely get that feeling, but yeah, it's part of the game. Artists hate talking about money. They hate it.
Yeah.
They hate it. So guys like me are around to shake people down.
I think I always had, really, really excellent editors that were looking out for me, and they were like, before I met you, and now you kind of go, it's time for you to get a raise.
Yeah.
But I had some really good editors. They were like, yeah, we're gonna up your page rate.
Oh yeah. When we did Harley and it started selling, we went right into Dan Dio and said, we need a raise.
Yeah.
And I said, I want our page rate as good as that person, because our book's selling more. And then they give it to you, and then later on they say, we can't hire you because you're too expensive.
Well, you mentioned you work a lot for Marvel and DC. There's one thing I'm interested to know how it happened is there was an episode of Big Bang Theory that had, and it's the bottom right corner, right under the poster where they talk about it, and it was called Girl on a Leash.
Yeah.
And I'll put it up so
like a dog.
And all of its glory.
Like a dog.
Girl on a leash like a dog.
Yeah. So how was it that that it came to be that you got to do this for Big Bang Theory, which a really really big show for a long time?
Those guys that created Big Bang and that are like the writers and everything, they're genuine. They are into comic books. They really, yeah.
And they called us. They called Amanda.
Us.
They wanted her to do that piece, and originally they wanted it to be the Joker, right? It was supposed to be the Joker and Harley.
I think maybe, and I think DC was like,
DC's like, no way, you gotta put Harley on a leash. And then Amanda talked to it was Adam Faberman. Adam Faberman up there.
And he's a genuine, he was one of the the head writers, and
great
he's
guy,
a genuine comic book fan.
Yeah.
And
he said, do you have an idea? We just want to show that it's in bad taste, like a man.
Right. They need to be really, really cringy.
Yeah, cringy piece.
So I was like, oh, I can draw cringy.
Yeah, so so she just made up the character.
Well, they actually they directed me on it because they wanted to be able to put it up in Stewart's store,
right,
and have the girls go, really, that poster, So, and then Amy Farrah Fowler is the one that I was like, all right, that's the title of it now, and he's because she said to Stewart, she's like, you have a poster of a girl on a leash like a dog. So I'm like, oh, that's the title of the artwork.
Like a dog.
Like a dog.
We did get to they invited us up a couple of times. We did get to go up and sit with the cast as they read one of the episodes at the table.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
yeah, we got
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and then we got to meet a couple of them, and they're all really friendly. Everybody was really friendly, and then we got to meet Chuck Lorre, the producer, and the staff, the writing staff. We actually met the whole writing staff.
They're great.
All comic
So
book
great.
fans. They're all comic book fans. So it was like we were like movie stars coming on the set to them. How ridiculous that may sound. They were like, "Oh, there's Jimmy and Amanda." We're like, "Okay," And then they asked Amanda back to do an episode, one of the
Oh yeah.
towards the end, right? You
Yeah. The Frightened Little Astronaut book.
Oh
I did the
yeah.
art on that.
And
Well,
they animated
I read they're doing a spin. They're supposed to be doing a spinoff of the show, featuring or centered on Stewart. So maybe you'll get to go back.
Oh,
to
I
it.
just saw that. I just read that.
Yeah, that was supposed to be illustrated by Stewart. So Stewart
Yeah.
draws a lot like I do.
There you go. Maybe they'll have it come back again. You know what's funny with the Stewart guy? He actually, I know him because he used to work at Jim Hanley's Universe in New York. He was actually a guy that worked in a comic shop. That was an actor.
Wow.
So
Well,
it
he
wasn't a
definitely
big
brought
stretch.
authenticity to the
It
role.
wasn't a big stretch having Stewart
Yeah.
having a comic book store. The guy already worked in one for years. It's crazy.
So
we
you worked.
we met him, and I told him, I remember you from Jim Hanley's, and he's like, "Oh yeah," pretty wild.
So you've worked on a ton of characters over the years, Amanda. If I this is something I always ask, any career I talk to. If you had any of the companies come to you and said, "Hey, pick whatever character you want, free reign, do whatever it is you want with them," which character would you pick, and what would you do?
We already have a whole story figured out. And basically it would be, and I've done this before, but I would totally do it again in a heartbeat, is Harley Quinn and Power Girl.
Yes.
Yeah. I love doing those two characters. I tell everybody it's the world's finest team up you never knew you needed. And yeah, I'm gonna, maybe we'll approach them again after this.
Yeah, we'll do our semi-annual.
Call it the world's okayest.
Yeah, the world's okay. There you go.
But yeah, that's what, and then I would I mean, now this wasn't the case 10 years ago, but Marvel and DC are doing, they're doing like
Crossovers.
company crossovers now again,
I'm
which
so
I don't think
excited
they've
for
done
that.
since the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They haven't announced what they're doing, but I think they're doing one or two of
Are
them.
they?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
Yeah, I
they
think-
were.
Yeah.
I think they
Did I
said
just
they're
spill the
doing
beans on
two.
something that?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they said that they're doing 2 one-shots, but they only
Uh-huh.
said this one's called DC Marvel and this one's called Marvel DC, and they
Right.
haven't said anything else yet. So, of course, speculation is, who knows what it's going to be.
Yeah.
What would you want to do?
I would love to do She-Hulk and Power Girl
Oh,
together.
that would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a huge
And I love
She-Hulk
Tigra
fan.
too. Tigra's another favorite of mine.
Yeah,
So-
I love her in the Moon Knight book now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
And along with
Come on, Marvel and DC, get with it. Give Amanda Connor what
along
she
with
wants.
more painkiller. Actually, Jimmy has a Painkiller Jane story that he's been sitting on for like
Yeah,
I don't know,
I have
18
to-
years.
I have to wait till Amanda's available.
Yeah. I got
So-
the Painkiller Jane Punisher one in the Punisher box right behind me.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Amanda modeled for Jane.
I
know.
did.
Yeah.
She was the model for Jusco.
Yeah, he I had like a long overcoat or something like that and some fake, stage prop guns. And yeah.
You made a good Jane.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you ever do that? I know Alex Ross is known for doing, using a lot of models and stuff for his stuff. Do you ever get people to like model for you guys when you're doing the art?
I've gotten in the
You're
past.
like,
I've gotten Jimmy to model for me.
Yeah, every time she needs Superman, I have to.
But I mean, now with like phones and tablets now, if there's a position that I'm having a little bit of trouble with, I'll just turn the camera around and try and like get into that position and just see. I definitely don't look like Wonder Woman or Harley Quinn, but I can do the position and then just
Yeah.
slim it down and muscle it up. So You know,
I've
I
done that
use
before.
myself now for a model.
I've done that
'Cause it's
before, and I'm
lazy.
like, all right, this is good for me for doing my drawing. I have to make sure that this is deleted and that the phone is set on fire so that this picture can never find its way out
I
into
should
the world.
I should probably do that with mine. Like
There's some Electra ones out there
oh
on the internet of Amanda dresses Electra.
Oh,
yeah, Bill Sienkiewicz used me for Electra Assassin after like issue 4, I think.
Oh, wow.
So if you look at, you know, the beginning and the end of Electra Assassin, like she looks like this tall, willowy, you know, muscular Greek woman in like the first 3 or 4 issues, and then, you know, by the last issue, it's like me in a red bandana, like, hey, it's me, Electra, you know.
I'm here to kill you.
Yeah. So but yeah, so Bill Sienkiewicz, you know, I modeled for this when I was his assistant, and his ex-girlfriend was Chastity. I mean, he used models for everybody.
Mhm.
Peter Sanderson was Perry, the creepy guy with the glasses, you know, with a really tall, skinny, angular, scary-looking guy, and Chastity was the big blonde agent, and they all look really good. You know, when Bill Sienkiewicz draws you, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned earlier that you guys are going to the convention in, was it North Carolina?
South Carolina. Yeah.
South Carolina coming up, and I know I've seen you guys posted on Instagram and Twitter. You're at this convention, you're at that. So, which ones do you have coming up? Is it just
We
that
have
and the other
we
ones?
have,
coming up?
we know we have South Carolina this weekend, and then we have I don't know if we're still doing that one. Sarasota Con in Florida. We're still talking and talks about that one. Let's see, San Diego for sure, and one in Jacksonville, Florida. We got 2 in Florida. And then it's some we can't announce yet because the con asked us to wait until they announce it. So
Yeah.
but we're definitely going to be in San Diego Comic Con. That's for sure. We're always there. We're not always in a place signing. We're just there, like everybody else. We're walking around and hanging out. So it's been a yearly thing we've done since the early '90s. So,
well, as someone from Maryland, I would definitely love to see you guys at Baltimore Comic Con again.
Baltimore, it's a great con.
Yeah, we like Baltimore.
Yeah.
We had a great time last year.
Yeah.
I think we're.
My cousin came to visit us.
Yeah, that was
in
fun.
Baltimore.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That was because we were next to that fire, that big fire that broke out.
Were you,
building.
Yeah, I mean, it was right across from the hotel.
Oh yeah.
There was a huge.
Yeah.
They actually used my video on the news stations.
Oh, really?
So when it ran out of news, it said video by Jimmy Palmiotti. It said my credit. I got credit for the video.
Hey, that's one more thing to add to the resume. Like
that's it. That's the resume. He started the fire and then he filmed it. News at 11.
My work has been featured on the local news as well. Oh, okay. That's
actually, when we first moved down here, they were blowing up a power company.
Yeah, there was a big power big power plant south of us, like maybe 20 minutes south of us, and they were going to TNT the thing
and blow it up.
And
so we went to
Jimmy's
watch.
Always up for an explosion.
Yeah, I was like, we have to go see this. They're going to blow this thing up. Yeah. And we went to like the Bay Area to go there, and of course a reporter walks over to me and goes, "Hi, why are you here?" And I was like, "I'm here to see this thing blow up." And then on the local news, it says Jimmy Palmiotti, they're here to see the thing blow up. And I just sent it to all my friends. I'm like, there you go. I'm consistent. I like to watch things blow up.
That would be a good T-shirt. Why are you here? I'm here to watch this thing blow up.
Yeah, it's all I had to say. Why else would I be there? I'm there to talk to fish. Like what? Like. I'm in front of a thing that's going to blow up. I'm there to watch it blow up. I communicate with seagulls. I don't know if you know that. Yeah.
Why are you here? Probably the same reason that you're here.
Yeah, except I don't have a cameraman with me. But, okay. Now, I thought it was a ridiculous question, but in the context of the news, it kind of made sense. I think they would just thought it was funny. That's why they put it on the news. Watch it blow up. Yeah, whatever.
So a lot of cons coming up, and then like Jimmy, you have the Gunslinger Spawn that's coming out every month.
Yes,
And,
every monthly book.
that's a
read.
cool cover too.
Fun read.
Every month, you have nowhere to go. It comes out every single month.
And
Todd
then
McFarlane says, get on it, man, get on it.
And then you guys have the Elvira Harley Quinn
Harley
book that's
Quinn.
coming
Yeah.
out. You said that drops in July, the first issue.
That's what it's slated for.
Yeah, July. Yeah, we're happy. And that's through Dynamite in DC.
Yeah. There's it has to get okayed by
Everybody.
Cassandra Peterson and DC, so it might take a little bit longer to, that's why we're like, make sure that we have a bunch of issues in the bag before.
Yeah, we're trying to get it all done before the first one comes out.
Yeah. And then of course, the Kickstarter that's going on.
Yes.
Yes, that has a couple more weeks
Painkiller
left. I think 2 weeks.
They're
left.
such a great pair.
They are a great pair.
Yeah.
She has a great pair.
Well, that's certainly.
Moritat drew her like she's a double D. That's his taste in women right there, Moritat.
Painkiller Power Girl.
He did Red Sonja with us, and he made that was the bustiest Red Sonja I've ever seen.
Even bustier than the original Frank Thorne.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
That's busty.
No, Moritat gave Red Sonja some back problems for sure.
So and you said, and real quick, you want to tell everyone again what that one, what this one's about coming up?
Yeah, the Kickstarter is basically so G.I. Zombie was a character that Justin Gray and I and with Scott Hampton created for DC Comics, and we had a run for a year with the character, and we had a great time doing it. It's one of my favorite characters that I've co-created, and then when you create something brand new for DC, if they don't use it over a period of time, you get the rights over a period of time. You get the rights to request the rights back, and they get the right to offer you money and say, hey, we'd like to keep it, or you can have it back, whatever. But we wanted it back to you, so we just got the character back, and then I figured, well, why not do a comic with Painkiller Jane and G.I. Zombie in it, and have some fun, and the story starts out in Italy. And then it makes its way to it's dealing with Russian spies and crazy stuff, and then a downed airplane, and then a Epstein Island, and it's basically about the two characters bonding.
A Jeffrey Epstein-like
island, and it's about the two characters bonding, about Jane having to deal with some stuff that's going on, and it's a little soap opera in the funnest way, and it's excessively violent and crazy. So and there's a lot of nudity in it. It's like I said, it's an adults only book. So if you got kids, you're gonna just have to spend a little time explaining what the hell's going on to them.
Or just save it for when they're like 18.
Yeah.
Or 30.
16.
Right.
16.
And it's already funded now, so everything going into it now is stretch goals. So
yeah, we're doing the stretch goals, and for me, I'm finishing the last bunch of pages, the coloring on it, and then and then it goes right to the printer. Once the Kickstarter is done, we send it right to the printer, and we promise the book within a period of time, and that's exactly when everybody will get it.
Well, I've backed several Kickstarters from you before, and I've always been happy with it. Always gotten them
Thank you.
right on time.
Appreciate that.
So I'm going to back this one. I'm just waiting
Awesome.
to get closer to see where I'm at financially, to see what level. I'd like to get Amanda's covers, but I got to make sure that I'm in a good place for that.
Yeah, don't miss a
Understood.
meal. Don't miss a meal over it. There's digital if you can't afford it. I don't want anybody going broke on it. People said, I can't afford your Kickstarters all year. And I said, I only do 2 a year. I'm like, it's not that much.
No, it's not.
No, it's like 2. Yeah, sometimes I have a third, but
Okay.
it's like 2 a year. And I always tell people, that's not, if you look at the big picture, it's less than a meal.
Yeah.
It costs less than a meal these days to go out and have a dinner, But well, anyway, thanks, man. Thank you for having us on the show. We had a great time. Yeah, man. This is a lot of fun.
It's always great talking with both of you. Thank you again for taking the time with us. Check them out on their website, PaperFilms.com. It's got all the Kickstarters on there. It's got all the books they've worked on. You can get original art. You can get autograph books and limited stuff and CGC graded stuff. And I mean, going through there, it's just going, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want that. It's full of awesome stuff, and it's got links to all your socials on there, right? If you wanted to follow them follow you guys on Twitter or Instagram or anything, you just got to go on there and it'll send you right to it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. And also, too, make sure to check us out online, codexstation.com. Same thing. It's got links to all of our stuff on there for all the individual team members. So until next time, we'll catch you all by the spinner rack.
Hey coders, if you like that, give us a subscribe. And if you want more content like that, definitely check out the videos above. Hope you enjoy it. There's a lot for everyone.